Well, let's come to this week's episode of Page 10. And let's start with you, Meghnad. You have a scintillating story for us that happened this week.
Yes.
Please tell us what happened.
So moving on from the Adani saga for the last three episodes, we have the BBC saga unfolding as well. Now, as you know, I think we covered this story earlier. There was a
Hmm.
documentary that was released by the BBC on our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji and his alleged role in the 2002 Gujarat riots. And then that was immediately banned all across India. Twitter and Facebook were ordered to take it down, etc. Now, everyone thought it ended there, but no.
Hmm.
Last Tuesday, which is on the 14th, there was an income tax quote unquote survey on the BBC offices in Delhi and Bombay. Now, I'll give you some, as you said, scintillating details of what happened. I have been reading many reports on it because the fun thing is, I have been in one of these tax raids when it happened on News Laundry. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
right there.
yeah.
So, this is very familiar to me. I'll tell you what happened at BBC though. So, on day one, a bunch of people reached there on the sixth floor in central Delhi. The Hindustan Times house is where their office is. So fifth and sixth floor is occupied by the BBC. Now, bunch of income tax people came in, and then they wouldn't open the door
Oh, really?
because everybody was like, "Who are you? You don't have an ID card. What is this?" So there is a video that also was circulated after that. कि अरे इनको अंदर नहीं आने दिया. But then later, an employee just innocently swiped an ID card and they got entrance, and then they just went ahead. Um, Later they explained the BBC people explained that they thought that they were protesters who came to protest the BBC documentary, therefore they did not let them in. Anyway, they went in, they did their survey things. I'm using quotes for the audio listeners whenever I say survey. Used to be called a raid. Now
Hmm.
it's not called that anymore. It's called a search and survey. Search and survey are two different things. Let's not
Hmm.
get into technicalities. What they're doing with BBC is a survey. Now they went to the accounts department. They looked through their whatever documents, etc. They have their accounts, etc. They copied all the data from the accounts department devices. They also took the employees' devices and put them on a table, and they were like, "You can't use it anymore. Whoever is inside the office stays inside the office. You can't exit. And whoever is working from home, please work from home today. You don't need to come in." So that happened. Then, essentially, what reports are saying is that the a government note was shared with the media later, which explained why this is happening. So they suggested that this is linked to alleged violation of transfer pricing rules and diversion of profit. Right
Hmm.
now, transfer pricing rules, that whole thing. Again, it's very confusing for me, so I'll just read out what I read with the hope that maybe Sindhu will be able to tell us more or someone will be able to. But it says transfer pricing rules refer to transactions between related parties. Under taxation rules, if related parties offer services to each other while overpricing or underpricing their products, it may result in undue tax gains for the company. So if you remember, there was this little thing in the Adani saga which happened
Hmm.
where they were using this term arm's length every time they were trying
Correct.
to explain away like transactions that were happening.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So from what I see, they are essentially saying that these arm's length transactions that happened with the BBC were either overpriced or underpriced, which gave them undue benefits. That is what I understood. Again, if there is a tax lawyer or CA or whoever is in there, please leave a comment. We will
Hmm.
correct ourselves. Right. So that is one. Then day two happens. Day two may fun things are happening. Tax sleuths are searching for files. They are keying in words, important words like black money, GST, taxation,
Right.
profit,
Yeah,
loss. Right.
yeah.
Again, sources said this. I didn't. That is what happened. Then the tax team stayed overnight, and then they slept on mattresses which they brought from outside. And then they were caught napping on a sofa at one point after 24 hours after the survey. And then they went out for tea and snacks. Yes, सब है. Okay, like there are reports
Right.
literally giving blow by blow account of this. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, day 3, which is Wednesday, 15 to 20 members were still searching till yesterday. They were going through, digital data on the 6th floor. And BBC has specifically told everyone to not delete anything, their
Okay.
employees,
Hmm.
because their whole thing is that the authorities will use this as an excuse to harass us. So please just
Hmm.
keep it as it is.
Hmm.
If your devices are asked for, whatever. There are like internal emails that came from the BBC office, say, ki, "Arey, be resilient, be amazing, be brave," sort of things for their employees, which is all and good. So yeah, that is what is happening with the raid, right?
Okay.
Okay, so there are some seizure facts I would like to give you. Okay, seizure facts
So
sounds
what are
weird,
seizure
What are
facts?
but
seizure facts?
yeah, no, okay. So these are search and surveys and search, right?
Hmm.
What this whole thing is called is not a raid. It is either
Right.
a
Okay.
survey or a search. Now,
Right.
after the survey or search is done, there are seizures that happen
Hmm.
from the people who you are surveying and searching, right? So in Digvijay Singh had asked this question last year in Rajya Sabha, right, where he asked, "Ki, how many of these raids have been done, and what is the result of it?" Now, the raids part, they corrected, saying, "No, no, you can't call it a raid anymore. It's search or seizure."
Hmm.
Now, the data says that from 2017 till 2022, the Income Tax Department has launched these search and seizure operations on 1956 cases, right? Whatever.
Okay. Hmm.
And only 29% of them, which is 1.48%, have resulted in conviction.
Hmm.
And the pendency of cases from 2017 till 2022 has gone up from 674 to 1908. If you count just the last 4 years of search and seizures and
Seizure.
what came
Hmm.
off it,
Hmm.
Hmm.
the number comes down to 0.42% of cases. Like,
So
there are
many.
2 years where zero cases went for prosecution and in the courts, essentially,
Right.
right? So there are figures which are like some 3,000 crore odd rupees have been seized from many locations across the country. What we'll do is we'll leave a link to that Rajya Sabha answer. You can read it. It's a very fun answer. Do look at it. Now,
Okay.
I'm just going to quickly do the reactions that came to this whole
Hmm.
saga, right?
Hmm.
Okay, so Republic TV claimed that BBC is an agent of the Chinese Communist Party.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Then, I mean, okay. And then there is Gaurav Bhatia, who of the
Right.
BJP, who came in and he said many things. He said
Hmm.
many things about BBC. He said
Hmm.
that BBC stands for Bhrashta Bakwas Corporation. It is a corrupt, nonsensical corporation. He said that BBC has done many harms to India.
Hmm.
One, they called Holi a filthy festival. In 2012, one
Okay.
report had like these people playing Holi on their
Right.
website, and they said, "Oh, look at this filthy festival." So
Hmm.
obviously, they've been against India because of this.
Hmm.
Then he said that Margaret Thatcher had called BBC the Bolshevik Broadcasting Corporation. That's what he said.
Does it have the same
Actually,
rhyme as brushed Bakwas Corporation?
Brushed
Yeah.
Bakwas Part Corporation, but
Yeah.
international audience के लिए Bolshevik
Yeah.
Broadcasting Corporation.
Yeah.
Turns out fact checkers later found that there is a UK MP, a loudmouth called Peter Bruin-Wells, right,
Hmm.
who said this, not Thatcher.
Okay.
Uh, then he also said that BBC has insulted Mahatma Gandhi, which is
Mhm.
our national icon, by saying that he failed to liberate India in 1946.
Hmm.
No, I was very confused by this. Like, what? Like, I mean, of course, he failed to liberate India in 1946 because we got independence in 1947.
47. Yeah.
And that is exactly what happened. So I don't understand why he said that, because apparently there was just a report from 1946 which was reporting that Gandhi failed to liberate India. And then it's like, so anyway, kudos to Gautam Bhatia for coming up with these arguments. Anyway, uh, now the whole point of this survey
Yeah.
was that tax evasion ho raha hai, whatever, right, whatever. But everybody knows Literally everybody
Of
knows
course.
why this
Yeah.
is suddenly happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have said that BBC has been a violator for a while. They have not been responding to their queries about their
Hmm.
transactions and profit sharing and how they're funneling profits, etc. That is the
Right.
government stand.
Right.
But our international media went nuts, which is Washington Post, New York Times, CNN, Le Monde, and Guardian have all done reports with headlines like BBC, broadcast controversial documentary,
Hmm.
Indian government raids
Of
them,
course. Yeah. Yeah.
on those lines. That's it,
Yes.
right? So
Yeah.
I'll just quote the New York Times and then I'll end.
Sure.
The report is headlined, Indian tax agents raid BBC offices after airing of documentary critical of Modi. Now, the report says the ruling party's increasingly thin skinned response to criticism is in stark contrast with India's rising stature as, sorry, rising stature as an emerging power, with Mr. Modi frequently touting the South Asian giant's democratic credentials to the global on a global stage. So basically, the international media knows what's up and
Right.
they are talking about it.
Hmm.
हमारे यहाँ पे दो वो सीसीपी वगैरह से कनेक्ट करना चालू है एंड ऑफ कोर्स
Huh.
इंसल्ट टू इंडिया एक्सेट्रा.
Right.
So
Right.
that's the overall
That's
story right now.
okay. I have a question, Meghnad. So you mentioned that
Yeah.
they seized the devices of the people working there in this case. I think that's what also what happened when they raided. I mean, sorry, seizured the
Yeah,
news
Seizure.
laundry
seizure.
offices.
Searched and
How
surveyed.
search and
Yeah,
surveyed?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How legal is this? Getting the devices of the workers who are working there, and I
So
mean, yeah.
wait,
Oh,
wait, wait,
one
wait.
second.
Meghnad, wait.
We've lost Sindhu.
sorry.
Sorry,
Okay.
someone suddenly opened
That's
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
door.
okay.
No, no,
That's
it's
okay.
okay, it's okay.
Hmm. So yeah, what's the legality of that, Meghnad?
So when the survey happened in News Laundry,
Hmm.
actually I had very little idea of what this is and what happens, etc. But
Hmm.
because I was there,
Hmm.
I obviously nerded out about it a little bit. कि क्या होता है. So essentially their whole thing about why they take the phones is
Hmm.
that you cannot contact anyone outside, so you
Okay.
cannot tell anyone else outside to bury evidence that might be in some other
Got it.
property
Yeah.
somewhere,
Yeah.
or like the founder's property, etc.
Right.
So
Yeah.
completely legitimate that way, taking
Hmm.
the phones.
Hmm.
um Now what they usually do, which happened with BBC also, is that they take the phones and keep it on a table in front of everyone. They label it, कि ये इसका phone है, ये उसका phone है, whatever. They tell you to switch it off, put it on airplane mode, and keep it on the side till their initial part of their search and survey is completed.
Hmm.
So that's what happened with us. Now the problematic part though is when they start trying to get information from your devices. So some officers do try that. Again, that is it's a gray area, because
Mm.
you might have a personal device, which I did. So I said कि ये मेरा personal device है, I'm not going to let you in. Some
Right.
people have devices which are with the company,
Correct.
right? So like the company has given it to them. So
Yeah.
technically
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
company property. So technically
Yes.
you can search it. And
Yeah.
the way they search it is by searching, black money, GST,
Hmm.
whatever. So genuinely they do that. I have seen that. So I
Right.
mean, अभी तो sources बोल रहे हैं, ये भी source बोल रहा है.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I
so
just have this vision in my head of a 50-year-old man sitting in front of. Where is black
oh,
money on my
would you be
computer?
shook if I told you that it's like late 20s people doing it?
What?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not kidding. I mean, I've seen that. But then, of course, senior officers are telling them to do it.
Of course.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
not
Yeah.
their fault. They might know कि मतलब क्या ही हो रहा है इसका, but like
Hmm.
whatever. I mean, income tax officials are very good people. I mean, whatever interactions I've had with them, when they came, they were very nice. They were like, हाँ अभी करना पड़ता है, क्या करेंगे, तो चलो दिखाओ, accounts दिखाओ, ये करो. They had kept Abhinandan, who was the CEO, for like 12 hours in his cabin while they were
Right.
asking him about each and every transaction. Why is this? Why is
Hmm.
that? What is
Hmm.
this? Etc.
Hmm.
Now, clever organizations always nowadays especially make sure that their books are clean.
Hmm.
And I think BBC also knew this.
Of
They are
course.
also
Yeah.
doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
if you are doing critical reporting against the government, you have to be like super law abiding.
Thorough, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
essentially it's such a beautiful thing that is happening, which is like कोई shadiness है ही नहीं. Like कर ही नहीं सकते, because that
Hmm.
might be used as an excuse to
Of
basically
course, yeah.
screw
Yeah.
you over, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
using journalism to screw you over is one thing, but using tax records and transaction details to screw you over is can turn into like criminal, cases, etc.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
books are very clean, and that is exactly what News Laundry did. Like the books are clean, and chalo aa jao, like, and then
Okay.
kya khaoge, then everybody had lunch, then it was great. Yahan pe though, in this case BBC ka, I'm very impressed, they ordered from a food delivery app.
Oh damn.
I'm surprised. Because usually, I mean, हम host है क्योंकि हम पे सर्वे हो रहा है,
Right.
तो we feed them, right? And
Yeah.
obviously it's like हमारे ऑफिस में आओ तो खाना खिलाना पड़ेगा, but इधर reports are saying online delivery. maybe now they're
It's
like
changing with the
थोड़ा
times,
सा
yeah,
shameless
I know.
लगता है ऐसा करना. So let's not do that anymore.
Okay.
But yeah, that happened.
Sindhu, Nikhil, anything you have to add to this or ask Meghnad?
It's just like every single time this happens nowadays, ऐसा लगता है ये सारा watchdogs लगा के रखा है and they'll just launch it one after the other. Like if IT doesn't find anything,
Yeah.
we'll launch the ED. If ED doesn't find, फिर CBI ने तो अभी army को भेजेगा करके. We'll find something.
You never know.
There
You
will
never
be
know क्या
something.
होगा.